With the all-new RC and RCF Sport, Lexus is looking to build a purpose-built sports car that competes with the best in the business. I'm going to drive it on the road and on the track. Will I be impressed? Let's find out. Lexus really wanted to bring you a car that you notice right from the get-go, and I think they did a good job with the RC. It's very aggressive looking, especially in the F-Sport trim here. You got larger 19-inch wheels, F-Sport badging, and an actually effective aero kit that runs air through the car and cools the oil and the transmission and the brakes all at the same time. Definitely aggressive from every angle, and I think quite attractive too. Comparing the back end of the RC350 to the F-Sport version, and you can see that this one is a bit more aggressive. Now the all-wheel drive version is about 2 tons, so these are not very light sports cars, but with all the technology and safety built in, that adds the weight. And the all-wheel drive is about 250 pounds heavier than the others. Checking out the F-Sport's interior, you see the main focus here is actually a new kind of mouse pad. And basically it's more like a smartphone. So you can squeeze it, you can tap it a couple times, and basically use it like you would your iPhone or your iPad or your Android. You get feedback force. You can also adjust the haptic feedback. It's got LFA inspired gauges and a very nice sporty steering wheel. Extremely supportive seats. Nice red leather here. Pedals are ready for business, and it's basically a lot of sort of Alcantara suede looking and carbon fiber looking materials to give you that racy look. Checking out the normal RC350's interior, and it's a little more luxury and a little less sport, but basically the same look. You get a fully programmable gauge cluster inspired by the LFA. It has all the normal creature comforts that you're used to in a luxury car, such as dual zone climate control, analog clock, of course a nice infotainment screen. You get the paddle shifters, and you can also shift it here. You can either have a 6-speed transmission or an 8-speed. You get heated and cooled seats for both the driver and the passenger. The standard system has 10 speakers and 256 watts. You also get dual USB ports. With the Mark Levinson option, you get 17 speakers, and it'll actually improve the quality of your MP3s. MP3s, of course, are compressed audio, and the Mark Levinson sound system basically manipulates the file and gets you even better sound. Impressive. 2 seats in the back with 2 cup holders. Not a heck of a lot of headroom though, because of that raked back end. Trunk is roomy, definitely fit enough luggage for a nice weekend getaway. Powering the Lexus RC is a 3.5-liter V6, which produces 306 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. Step up to the F-Sport with a 5-liter V8 that produces 467 horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 takes 5.8 seconds in the RC and 6 seconds if you opt for all-wheel drive. Jump up to the F-Sport and 0 to 60 flies by in 4.4 seconds. Top speed is 143 in the RC unless you go for all-wheel drive, which drops it to 130 miles per hour. The RC F-Sport tops out at 170 miles per hour. Fuel economy is surprisingly good for the F-Sport, and you won't have to pay a gas guzzler tax. You'll get 16 miles per gallon in the city and 25 miles per gallon on the highway. You can expect 19 miles per gallon overall. The thriftier RC350 will return 19 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway, with 22 miles per gallon overall. Opt for all-wheel drive and you'll be penalized 1 mile per gallon on the highway and also overall. Pricing for the normal RC350 starts out at $42,790. This one, the F Sport, starts out at $62,400. Now, of course, with options like the torque vectoring, larger wheels, all-wheel drive, of course your price is going to go up. If you go for the torque vectoring, you also get a carbon fiber roof and wing in the same package. You get G-Force artificial intelligence, which basically means that at any given time the RC is going to figure out how you can get power to the road, get the best performance that the RC can muster. Or if you're in eco mode, it'll actually cut the air conditioning and make sure you get the best fuel economy at all times. You get double wishbone suspension up front and multi-link out back. You also get ventilated disc brakes. The F Sport features adaptive variable suspension, variable gear ratio steering, dynamic rear steer, F Sport, Exo Sport, powertrain. Sport Plus mode gives you a firmer ride and steering. You get 14-inch rotors and exclusive wheels, plus LFA inspired meter. So I've got the cruise control, which is standard Scion Toyota Lexus, set for 9 miles an hour over the speed limit. And despite the fact that this is the F Sport and it's absolute beast, you know, you can just kind of cruise in it. It's definitely a tight suspension. It's really soaking up the bumpy road here, but when you really hit something, you hear it and you feel it. It's not to say that the seat's not real comfortable, but you do feel the bumps. But I'm really tucked in here. It's like a cocoon almost. Can't move side to side because of the big bolsters, and that's what you want in a sports car.
Freeway is on the right, and then keep left.
You do get the blind spot warning. Great safety feature. Backup camera for safety. And 8 airbags too throughout the cabin. Nice tone, and when you mash the throttle, well, you can feel that it definitely has enough torque to kick the back end out, and that's what you want. Great sound, great levels of grip, great feedback from the steering wheel. Excellent. Taking a look out the back, when you go over 50 miles an hour, you can see the wing go up and back, and then when you drop below 25 miles an hour, it falls back down. Driving in the passenger seat now, and it's very comfortable. Basically the same seat as the driver's seat, and you can also adjust it for height, and of course it's all power and quite comfortable. There's a certain stigma attached to BMW drivers, maybe even Audi drivers too, and Lexus actually offers an alternative to that. To me, Lexus has been a brand that attracts people who certainly have the means to drive whatever they want to drive, but they choose to drive a Lexus because it's not ostentatious, it's not boastful, it's a well-respected mark. I think it's more PC than the BMW or the Audi. So with the F Sport, you now have an alternative to the M cars and Audi's R and S lines. You'll still get all the performance, but not necessarily the negative image that might be attached to those cars. Perhaps the F Sport is the thinking, thoughtful, caring man's hyper sports car. It's a nice color spectrum range here. We've got a kind of a gunmetal gray, and here comes a silver. Quicksilver. The RC, Lexus is bringing you a memorable vehicle that's fun to drive regardless of your own skill level. That means you can push it as hard as you want and the RC will respond. When it comes to the F Sport, well, that's offering track levels of performance and grip, and basically as hard as you push it, it will definitely be able to exceed your own limits. It's very impressive, and it's definitely a serious sports car no matter what trim level, but especially, of course, in the F Sport trim level. It's a car you can equip really any way you like it, with all-wheel drive, torque vectoring, basically any way you want it. From just a fun sports car, drive through country roads with, all the way up to the perfect car for a track weekend. Now, in the normal 6-cylinder RC, you're not going to be able to cancel the traction control. But in the F Sport version, you actually can. You have to hold it down for 10 seconds. And then basically it's definitely make sure your insurance is up to date, because it's all on you. I don't recommend that anybody turns the traction control off unless you really know what you're doing. You can tap it and it'll turn off and it'll still save you. But if you hold it down for 10 seconds, well, it's all on you. You might be saying to yourself, well, why don't they offer the RC with a manual transmission? Well, basically, that's because the last time they put a manual transmission in the IS, they only sold about 100 out of 40,000 cars. Basically, when the car shifts for you, it does it much faster than you can even dream of doing it. So just embrace the new technology and let it work for you. It'll make you a believer, don't worry. You'll do match rev downshifts better than Michael Schumacher. Audi, Mercedes, and BMW really have a racing reputation. When you say M3, M5, M6, you know that it's a purpose-built sports car for the track. And Lexus hopes to establish that image with this new RC F Sport. Lexus is really looking to win races with this car. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That's the old philosophy, and Lexus wants to make it their own. They've made no compromises in building this car, and it's really built for the track. So let's see how it does on the track. Incredible. Camera's flying around with my improvised mount a little bit, but it's really quite impressive. Miles an hour, 20 miles an hour slower than in the F Sport, but still getting up to close to 100 miles an hour there. 120, 130. And then we take it way down. Put the power down and wrecked out. So basically the RC 350 and the RC F Sport can handle anything you can dole out to them. They basically make you feel like a racing driver, and that's absolutely amazing. This car is better than you are. This car is incredible on the track, and the RC is going to be more than enough for most people, but with the V8 and the F Sport options and the torque vectoring, it is absolutely out of this world. Amazingly fun, and just a well-engineered, well-put-together sports car, and a car for the track, and just a regular nice touring GT car. I'm impressed, and I know you will be too. I'm Drivin' Ivan Katz.